Welcome, friends. Today we are going to have an informal get-together. We are going to share experiences, do meditation, and get to know each other better. First of all, I would like to know how many of you believe that you have been here in a past life and have met a master. There are lots of people like that. How many of you believe that you have in a past life met the great master? I am in very good company. Thank you. Thank you. Today is the 23rd anniversary of initiation of the first person that Great Master directed me to initiate in this country. And that person happens to be here. That person knew me in her past life and my present life. That's a good link. And therefore, when she saw me, when she was just a teenager, she almost recognized me at that time, and I recognized her. That's a very amazing thing. It happened. There was a huge gap of several years before the second person was initiated by me under direction of Great Master. I would like to introduce that person to you, who was an important BB who took care of Great Master in a past life, and she happens to be here in a new American body, and her name is Michelle Thompson, sitting right here. Please show your face. Get up, please. Her story is very simple. I had doubt if she could be still the same person, though I felt that she looks very familiar, her behavior is familiar. But the old BB who was in the Dera with the Great Master, she loved me a lot, I knew that. And she used to work in the kitchen also there, and she had amazing experiences, spiritual experiences. I will share with you sometime. But towards the last part of her life, she came and stayed with me and then died there. Before that, she was up in a hill station called Shimla in India. And there she invited two of my sisters, my younger sisters, to come and spend a few days with her. My two sisters, Rama and Chandar, that's their name. They went up to Shimla to spend a few days with the BB. She was very old at that time. And she offered them tea and some cookies, those kind of cookies which you have, those long ones with cream in between. I don't know what they call it, cream wafers, or what do you call them? Wafer cookies. And when she took them out from a box and put on a plate, that old lady began to arrange them in a very strange order, like a cyclical order, to make like the sun and rays of the sun. These two girls, my sisters, were surprised, why is she doing this? We are just going to eat them up anyway. Why is she decorating them on the plate? But anyway, they thought it was very odd why she did that. And they came back. They didn't tell anybody of this experience. So many years later, I meet this girl in this country. She is keen to go to India, talks of Indian food which she likes. And I said I might take her, maybe my mother can recognize her, who was also a good friend of that old lady. When we went there, my sisters offered her tea and opened up a box of cookies. And this girl began to arrange them on the plate exactly in the same way. they did not need any more proof. Because it was so extraordinary, they had not told anybody about it. And why would this girl, young girl coming from America, go and do the same thing which that old lady had done? That little thing was good enough for them. I was also struck by that experience, but still had little skepticism. One can never be sure, our mind is like that. But then she met my mother. And my mother held her hand and said, it's the same hand. And she remembered her from that. They had a conversation of the good old days when they used to meditate together. So it was a very strange experience for me that how could a lady who worked with great master, made great spiritual progress, which I knew about, should come to America and be born here as a young girl in a household in which they were all non-vegetarians. And she was the only vegetarian child right from the beginning. They tried to feed her meat, she wouldn't take it. So she was a little different from others. And why did that happen? So this really created a little bit of questioning in my mind. How did great master decide to put her here? Then I realized that she herself wanted to come. She herself decided she need not have come. She need not have been reborn. She decided to come because she thought that this great master had made a statement that the axis of spirituality will shift to America. And one day there will be more spiritual masters, more spiritual growth in the United States of America than anywhere else in the world. He made these statements more than 60, 70 years ago. And he repeated them in several letters he wrote to American disciples of his. Indeed, I came to this country mainly for that reason, that the great master said that the spirituality is going to move to this country. I better go quickly and get a ringside seat to see the show. And that's why I'm here. But the fact she wanted to come because of the axis of spirituality changing here brought her here. But I said, how did great master decide where she should be born? Why should she be born in a household where people, although interested in spiritual disciplines, were not vegetarian, were not following the kind of lifestyle that this BB had followed and was following even in the new birth here. And then I realized that the great master went to an engineering college. He did not know many Western names. As a human being, he studied in college, became an engineer. But he went to study in an engineering college called the Thompson Engineering College in Roorkee in India. He knew the word Thompson. I thought that must be the reason. She was born in Thompson family. So something somehow sometimes looks bizarre that such things can happen. But things do happen, and since so many of you raised hands, I thought you would like to hear this story. And I know that many of you I had known earlier, and not only this girl. And therefore it's a great joy to reconnect with you once again. Another great disciple of the great master came from the United States, and his name was Dr. Julian Johnson. He wrote several books also. You might have seen those books. The Johnson name became familiar to the great master because he was a good disciple of his. Very, very successful disciple. I knew Julian Johnson. I was much younger than him, but we became friends. We used to walk together up to the river Beas in India, and we used to share information. When he saw, Julian Johnson saw, that many of the disciples of great master do very extensive, serious meditation out in the caves. They dig out caves so that there is no disturbance. He himself, the American disciple, dug a cave on the bluffs of the river Beas, a beautiful cave, and would go and meditate for long hours. I went with him sometimes and saw the cave. I sat in that cave sometimes. After he passed away, I sat myself to try see if that cave has some special vibrations, so I could take advantage of them. Of course, the real cave is inside us, where we are supposed to sit. The outside cave was merely an excuse. But the Johnson name was well known, so there was another girl who came to the great master after much tribulation, after meeting very strange kind of psychic and spiritual experiences. And that girl came, and her name was Elizabeth, and the last name was Bruce. Bruce is the township where we got a house. There's strange coincidence in the names. That Elizabeth Bruce should come as a disciple of Great Master, and Great Master recommended that she is single, and Julian Johnson was single. Why don't they get married? And they got married in the Dera, and she became Mrs. Johnson. Her desire to serve the Master, like the other BBs in India, was very strong. So there was no doubt that she would come back again to this part of the world and come back probably in a Johnson family. So that girl, who was an American girl, went to India, got initiated, is back again, and again came in a Johnson family, and happens to be present here today. But I'd like to introduce to you Anne Johnson. Will you please rise, show your face? And she has still the great desire to be a BB, like anyone else, and take care of the Master, like the BBs did before. And I'm sure her wishes will be fulfilled. Great Master makes sure of that. Why am I sharing these stories? I've never shared them before. I have a number of other people who are sitting here. I could tell stories about them. And I see them and I recognize them. And that's amazing experience for me, to be able to see that people who I had to work hard to get an immigrant visa to come to this country, and they came just by rebirth. they just avoided all the immigration formalities. How many of you have come here today from outside of the United States? Can you raise your hands, please? Well, because you have come so far away, I would like to invite you, who just raised your hand, to a special luncheon with me today. When we break for lunch, we'll set up a small lunch room at the back, and people who come from outside of this country, I'd like to meet them separately at lunch today. So you're most welcome for that lunch. How many of you are above 90 years of age? Here is one gentleman. He has come all the way from Colorado at age 91 to attend. So Leon Ponchet will also be my guest at today's lunch. And I have to request one other person to join me for lunch, two other persons to join me for lunch, who are sitting in front. Peggy Newman and Jewel Hawkins. These two ladies, one is here and myself, we are a sandwich in 1 year apart. I didn't know that, they told me. They told me that we three are 1 year apart from each other, in our 80s. And therefore, we should stay like a sandwich and go home together. I would like to invite these two ladies also to join me for lunch today. Thank you very much. I was talking to you yesterday, last night, that we are recirculating. Our souls are all longing for fulfillment. It's the natural desire of a soul, of the spirit, of consciousness per se, sitting inside us, to long for fulfillment. The fulfillment is to become what it is. That means full, to become total, to not be separate. The separation is creating a painful situation for the soul. Unfortunately, the soul has found its companionship with the mind, which was given to it only as an accessory to help it. The mind was provided as an equipment to consciousness or soul to be used for creating different kind of experiences, so that it would have a great time to set up a great show and to enjoy it. That's what the mind was given to the soul for. The mind and soul are not the same thing. Soul is our reality. Soul is immortal. Soul had no birth and no death. The mind has a birth and death. The mind has a certain lifespan. Soul has no lifespan. So when a soul is granted the company of a mind, the idea is that the mind can create spatial and time experiences. That means it can spell out an experience which can be generated in no time and make it an experience of eons and centuries and eternity. That's the capacity of the mind. It's a very great capacity. To be able to make an experience of no time, no space, zero time, zero space, and to be able to expand it and create past, present, and future is a very big capacity. Not only that, the mind has the capacity to generate language for communication. The mind has the capacity to use logic, to reason out, to come to conclusions by rationalizing. These are very big qualities. All these qualities have been given to the life force, the spirit, the soul, in order to have a grand experience. That's what we are supposed to be here for. And the mind in turn has used other resources also given to it, like the sense perceptions, so that what it creates in time and space can be perceived by the soul and can be experienced by the soul in terms of different perceptions through divided means of perception. The mind can perceive anything in one go, but it divides itself into separate sense perceptions. Seeing is separated from hearing. Hearing is separate from touching. Smelling is separated. All these different sense perceptions are created so that the show can be enjoyed to its utmost. That's the whole purpose of creation, to have a temporary experience through the mind and the senses. And then to top it all, we covered in a physical body, a material body that generates the experience of a physical material world. What better setup could be done for the soul, the spirit, the power of consciousness to have an experience in an extended way? That's what we are here for. Something went wrong somewhere. By design or otherwise, we can still examine. But something went wrong, that what was set up as a show and deliberately made into a real show at all levels. All ingredients that were required to make the projected show into a real show were put into place. Rules of nature, laws of physics and science, the grandeur of the unlimited extent of space and time, the grandeur of the minimal size of neurons and molecules, atoms, electrons, the grand scale in which this has been put in is amazing. all designed to make the thing absolutely real. And then to top it all, we have a willing suspension of disbelief about the thing and all begin to believe this is the only reality. Not only that, we shut off all other kind of experiences so that the element of reality should not be lost to us. What great arrangement we made to make this show the very best we could. Where did we go wrong? Only in one thing, that we came to have a good time. Somebody asked me a question recently on an email about Lucifer, the devil. Who is the devil? And in some places he says in the Bible it's quoted the devil is the morning star and so is Christ the morning star. How can both be together? The truth is that the devil was also created by the same totality of consciousness that created the good and the bad both were created. The high and the low both were created from the same source. The negative and the positive both are coming from the same source. In order to heighten the experience of creation, the pairs of opposites and the principle of duality was created. It's an amazing principle that you can experience anything you want in this world because there is an opposite of that. If there was no opposite, you would experience nothing. So the whole world has been designed on this grand principle. And it looks so beautiful when you know how the structure has been made up. And yet, we thought this is the only reality. We forgot this was made up. We forgot it was made for a design, that the reality has been created by us. And we took this as the only reality, got attachment to it, made further desires to get more attached to it, ultimately entangled ourselves with the desires in such a strong way we can't pull away from it. When these enlightened people came, who we call the masters or perfect living masters, when they came and told us that, look, this world is not as real as you think. It's been made real. The process of illusion has been used to create reality. And that illusion has been made into reality deliberately so you can enjoy it. When they came and said, look at the source of it, so that you don't get attached here. If you want to get attached to where your soul is longing all the time for fulfillment. That is own totality inside. When they gave this advice to us to go within, we closed our eyes and thought we are in meditation and saw nothing but darkness. So what kind of game is this? That these masters come and tell us, close your eyes and go within. Within is all darkness. Outside is all wonderful, beautiful, colorful place. Why should we go inside? There is nothing inside. And therefore going inside. And those who tried seriously to go inside by closing their eyes, they were pulled outside by the attachments that they had created, by the desires that were still unfulfilled outside. Therefore, the whole cycle of experience turned around into believing that the reality was outside and we have just come here for a short experience and we'll die away, the reality will stay here and more people will come and go away. Nobody understood the immortality of consciousness, the very consciousness that sits in each one of us. It doesn't belong to any particular group. It does not belong to any particular person. It does not belong to the perfect living masters. It belongs to all of us, without exception. You'll find right sitting in this small group here, people from all nationalities. They come from all over the world. You find that there are people of all colors, white, black, brown, and all colors in between. People are wearing dresses of all colors. People are speaking languages of all colors. There are Christians here, Hindus here, Muslims here. Even Druze are here. All kinds of people are here. That knowledge, that totality of consciousness which creates everything is not the prerogative of any particular person. It's given to all humanity without exception. There are children here, and there are people up to 91 years old here. There are many people in my age group here. There is no question of any age, any gender, any caste, any nationality, any color of the skin at all in the matter of spirituality. The spiritual longing of the spirit is common to all. And the perfect living masters come to tell us a message for all, that the truth is lying inside you. Therefore, if you have to find it, go inside. We can't find it. It's dark inside. It's bright outside. How do you find the light inside? And why are we not seeing the light? When we close our eyes, why don't we see the light? If you just contemplate for a little while, when you close your eyes, do you know what you're thinking about? Everything outside. How can you see anything inside? You've attached yourself to so much things. If you think of each attachment that you have made, like a rope that has tied you outside, you are totally entangled with those ropes outside. And even if you start cutting one by one those ropes, in deep meditation, you can take a whole lifetime and not cut those ropes. We are so entangled here. That is why these perfect living masters who realize, because they are working from a different level of consciousness, they have risen to a level of consciousness from where the physical world was created. The patterns of this physical world are being generated somewhere else. This is a copy. It's a copy of those patterns. They can see those patterns. They have risen above that. They have risen to the point where they can see why the mind was constructed and how it is working, how time, space, and this expansion of experience is taking place. They have risen above that. They have seen where the individuation of consciousness took place and create a soul. They have risen to the highest level where they see that there is only one totality of consciousness within which the whole show is taking place. Having that knowledge and awareness and sitting amongst us like an ordinary person with that knowledge and awareness, they come and share their experience with us. They tell us that we are all part of the same, that we have been thrown outside by ourselves, and all we have to do is to reverse the journey. And they say that the Creator, which is our own total self, has made ample provision for us to go back home, to go back to our own totality. Sure. What is that provision? What provision has the Creator made for us, or we have ourselves made for ourselves to go back home? First of all, even at the lowest level of a physical creation here, we have been given a remarkable power in our consciousness that we can use, and that power is called the power of attention. We can put our attention wherever we like. That's an amazing power. Supposing you did not have that, and the world just flew around you with no choice what you want to see or what not to see. Whatever came in front of you came, and whatever went away, you could do nothing about it. The life would be just a monotonous show going in front of you and no choice at all to you. By granting the power of attention, it enables you to pick and choose what you want to put your attention on. It enables you to concentrate on one thing or another. It enables you to read books. Otherwise, a book would be just black and white pages going in front of you. By getting the power of attention, you can put your attention on the printed words and read it. By the power of attention, you can talk to a person, look at that person. By the power of attention, you can experience the world with your choice. With the same power of attention, you can withdraw your attention and open the inner door and discover the reality. That's the greatest power. The whole secret of the spiritual discipline of meditation, the spiritual way of going within, is to use your attention properly. All systems of meditation in the world rely upon the power of attention. And then not only that, it's not only attention, it is the power to concentrate that attention wherever you want. That you need not scatter your attention to a wide range. You can pinpoint it to a very narrow area. And the method of discovering who you are, to discover how the show has been opened up outside, all you have to do is to withdraw your attention and concentrate it to the point from where it is originating. It's a very simple formula. To find God, the simplest formula is to go within to the point where you think you're going out from. Where are we going out from? When we look at this world, open our eyes, and we look at the world around us, when we talk to people, when we communicate with them, where are we sitting if we are consciousness and not the body? What part of the body contains that function of ours from where we can throw our attention out and experience everything? A little contemplation will tell you it is not in your hands or your arms or on your rest of the body, it's in your head. You open your eyes, you are looking at the world from behind the eyes. It does not take very long to find out that your source of attention, from where it's flowing, the source of consciousness and awareness, it's flowing is in the head and it's right behind the eyes. You can even imagine, where am I? If I am the source of consciousness, if I am not a being, I am not a body, but I am consciousness, that is the ability to be aware of everything. Where am I operating from? You're not operating from anywhere outside. All the outside is being experienced by you. You're operating within this body. Where in the body? Not all over the body. Only in one specified area. Indeed, in only one specified point. One point behind the eyes, in between the two eyes. That point is so well marked that people have even tried to find the physiology of that point and say whether it's the pituitary gland where we are hanging in, or it's the pineal gland, or it's somewhere in between, it's somewhere in the center. It doesn't matter whether you know anything about the pituitary gland or not. You always know that you are behind the eyes if you are pure elements of consciousness operating to view this universe and to experience this world. Then what is the problem then? If you know you are there, all you have to go is to put your attention back there. What is the difficulty of putting our attention back there? Difficulty we have created by practicing in every life that we have had here, focusing our attention on other things. We have been practicing how to put your attention out on things. We have never practiced anything to pull the attention back. These are exact opposites. If you focus attention on something, you're moving away from yourself. You're moving away from that point, no matter where you focus. We have been taught how to focus attention, that the only use we can make of attention is to focus it on something or the other. Even in meditation, we are told to focus attention on something. And every time we go wrong, because every time, no matter where we focus our attention, we move away from ourselves. The process which perfect living masters tell us is not to focus attention on anything, but to withdraw attention to yourself. The withdrawal of attention is a different process than the focusing of attention. And the withdrawal of attention we have never practiced. And when we try to meditate, the old tendency to put your attention on something keeps on driving us away from our own point of existence, of our point where we operate from. Therefore, the real difficulty of meditation is not the technique of it, not the principle of it, not the knowledge of it. The real problem is we never practiced withdrawal of attention. To withdraw attention is a different process than to put attention anywhere else. If we close our eyes and say, I am going to look at myself where I am sitting and make a little picture of myself there, do you know you have moved away from yourself to that little picture you are making? You are not withdrawing your attention. And we spend years and years trying to do meditation, even under appropriate instructions, because it is still moving away from where we are. The truth is, we have to pull back to where we belong, where we are operating from. In this physical body, consciousness does not always reside behind the eyes. It is only behind the eyes when we are awake in a physical state like we are now. It shifts all the time. It's never at the same place because it's not bound by any part of the body. The body is bound by it. The body moves around it, and not that the consciousness is to move anywhere in the body. The consciousness is where we are having an experience, any experience, whether we are looking at things, whether we are dreaming, whether we are in a higher state of consciousness, whether we are in our true home in Sachkhand, no matter where. In the body, we are not bound by any particular position. Why we emphasize this place behind the eyes, often called third eye center, because it's behind the two eyes, is because that is so in the wakeful state. And we get our instructions how to proceed with the techniques of meditation and self-discovery while we are in the wakeful state. We cannot get these instructions anywhere else. Even if we got those instructions at a very high level of consciousness in the astral plane, you cannot follow them unless you come down to the physical plane. There's a reason for that. The reason is that here we don't know the future and we think we have to make a decision. It's programmed like that. And therefore we become seekers and practitioners of something which we cannot be anywhere else. We can only be a practitioner of any science, any discipline while we are in the human body. And that is why it's only in the wakeful state of a human being that you can practice meditation. No other state whatsoever, not even a higher state of consciousness. Now that's a great thing to say. That is why human state of wakefulness has been called the top state of creation next to the totality of creation. It's so important. A human being has been described in the Indian scriptures as created next to God, the Creator himself. And in other disciplines it's been called that man is created in the image of the Creator, of God. Several messages have been sent to us that this is a great opportunity to be human, to be awake in the physical level. That's when you can do all these things. The doors to all perceptions inside, the door to all reality inside can be opened when we are human and we are awake. It cannot be done any other time. Now, when we are human and we are awake, that is the time when notionally we experience this feeling that we are behind the eyes. We want to put ourselves as a miniature point of consciousness. Say, where are we operating from? And just close our eyes. Forget all what is inside the head or not. You will notice that you are behind the eyes, thinking from there, contemplating from there, meditating from there, opening your eyes and seeing from there. Therefore, that point is the natural point at which consciousness or attention is operating in the physical wakeful state. And when you look at things and when you do things, it is from that point that you are throwing your attention out. Therefore, the correct practice of meditation, of discovery of yourself is to withdraw your attention to that point in the wakeful state. When you are awake, if you can pull your attention to the point from where you are throwing it out, you are in very successful meditation. The only handicap we have is that we have been doing too much of throwing our attention out. And that comes in the way all the time. Even when we want to withdraw. Nobody taught us how to withdraw attention. Everybody told us how to focus attention. Here come the perfect living masters telling us how to withdraw attention. And there they have come with very simple methods too, which we don't practice, but they appeal to us. The method is that we have been granted another great power. We don't make too much use of it, called imagination. How do you imagine things? The power of imagination enables you to imagine something anywhere, anytime you want. The power of imagination can make you imagine you are not sitting here, but you're sitting on top of this roof. The power of imagination can make you imagine you are sitting in some other city right now. The power of imagination can make you feel you are standing up and not sitting. The power of imagination can move you around anywhere you like. If that is so, cannot the power of imagination also make you imagine you're sitting at the point behind the eyes? How simple. Therefore, they advise, do not try to put pressure on your attention. That will drive you the same way you have been using it all the time. Therefore, use an alternative device. Use the power of imagination to imagine you're behind the eyes sitting at that point. True meditation consists of having the ability to imagine you're behind the eyes. What happens when you do that? The more you think of being there, the more you concentrate your attention there. Therefore, the concentration of attention and the withdrawal of attention takes place by the simple process of imagining you are behind the eyes. It takes a little practice, of course. All new things take little practice. But with practice, you'll find that the moment you start doing that, and you imagine more and more what's inside my head, where am I? And you do not try to focus yourself anywhere, but try to imagine you are there in the center. The more you do that, and the more your attention is withdrawn from other things, light will appear. Sounds will appear, which you do not hear normally, which are there already, but you don't see them, because the attention all scattered outside. We have attached ourselves, scattered our attention all over. When you imagine you are there, gradually you are forgetting what is outside. And when your whole attention is on imagining that you are in the center of the head, light will fill your head, fill your experience like you have never seen before. It is said, if thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be filled with light. You will see a light you can't imagine ever having seen, and then you'll be able to see it. This light you can't see. You can't face the sun. And inside you can face the light of several suns put together and not have to close your eyes. Those eyes they are seeing inside are not these eyes at all. Those are behind these eyes. Then you discover, much to your surprise sometimes, that you have other eyes also, which are seeing inside. You didn't know you had other eyes also to see. Didn't you know that when you go to sleep and have a dream, you are seeing with some other eyes? Don't you think that when you imagine something, you are seeing with some other eyes? These eyes are not imagining and seeing things. Don't you think that whenever you visualize something, you are seeing with other eyes? Are they not the same eyes that will see the light inside? Do you know how much light those eyes can stand? Do you know if you imagine light, you can imagine more light than you can see with the physical eyes? We have other eyes, we have other ears, we have other hands, we have another body sitting right inside this. We never use it. Actually, we do use it, but very partially. We use it by its superimposition on the physical body. When we see through the physical eyes, we think the physical eyes are seeing. It is our consciousness, wakefulness, that is using the inner eye with a filter of the outer eye that we see outside. If the inner eye is closed and you are not conscious, you can keep these eyes open, you see nothing. You have to be awake. You have to be conscious in order to see with the physical eyes. You have to be conscious and awake to be able to hear with the ears. Therefore, although we think that the physical body is creating these sense perceptions, these sense perceptions are impossible. If the so-called imaginary body inside, the so-called astral body inside, superimposed upon this body is not functioning. Now, if that is not functioning, this body goes to sleep. And that body keeps on having dreams and goes somewhere else. On the other hand, you cannot even have the astral body functioning if your mind is not working. The mind is a constant creator of experience. The mind never stops working. The mind thinks all the time. In words, images, memories, whatever, the mind is never at rest. The mind is like the heartbeat of this physical body. The heart never stops. It works continuously for the physical body to get all the circulation and all the food it needs. Therefore, the mind functions all the time for consciousness to generate the experience, and that's the food it needs. The mind never stops. People keep on telling us, still your mind, stop your thinking, and that will happen. Nobody has ever stopped thinking. There was a guy in the university with me at Harvard, and he was trying to practice meditation and going to research into these things. And one day he called me that he has learned how to stop the mind. Stop thinking. I said, if you really stop thinking even for a second, you'll be dead. That's my understanding. That the mind has to be alive and kicking for the senses to operate. The sensory body inside has to be alive and kicking for this physical body to operate. If any link is cut off, the whole thing falls apart. So how did you learn how to stop thinking? He said, all the literature says you have to still your mind, and otherwise you can't do anything in meditation. I said, how did you learn how to stop the mind? He said, through some yogic practices and through sadhana. I said, can you come to my apartment and demonstrate the sadhana to me? I'd like to learn how to stop the mind, how to stop thinking and still be alive. So he came to me, to my house, and I said, how long can you stop thinking? He said, any amount. Once I go into that sadhana, that position, of yogic position, then I can just tell the mind, stop, and it stops thinking. I said, that's great. Okay, let's have a demonstration. If you can stop thinking for 1 minute, I will assume that you can stop thinking forever. 1 minute is a good enough experience for me. I'll have a watch ready with me. I look at the time and I'll give you a clap like this. When I give you this clap, stop thinking. And after 60 seconds, I'll give a second slap. And then you start thinking. And then we'll review what happens to consciousness if somebody is not thinking. It's a great experience, great experiment to do. So he came over and he got into his great sadhana. He contoured his body in a certain ways, which was the yogic practice that he had learned. And once he was ready, and I saw he was ready to stop thinking, I gave him the signal. And I didn't know what he was doing, but I was looking at my watch. 60 seconds passed. I gave him the second signal. And he said, now he's thinking again. I said, did you stop thinking between the two signals I gave? He said, yes. I said, now let's examine, not from any theoretical method, just from your memory. If you have a memory of that time. If you have a memory of what happened in those 60 seconds when you were not thinking, I would be very interested in knowing that. First step, when I clapped, how did you know it was time to stop thinking? He said, I said, don't make up anything. Remember. And he remembered that when I gave the first signal, he said to himself, yes, this is the signal, I have to stop thinking. I said, that's a thought. He said, well, it just took a few seconds. I said, all right, then we'll eliminate those seconds. The experiment was not 60 seconds, the experiment was 55 seconds. All right, now next step. After you stop thinking, how did you know that I will again give you a signal and you can resume thinking? Don't make a story, remember. And he remembered. Yes, I remember. After I said, now is the signal to stop thinking, and I did say, and I will not think again till he gives the second signal. I said, that's a thought too. I said, what happened after that? To cut the long story short, after a 5-minute discussion about what happened in those 60 seconds, he caught his head. My God, I was thinking more in those 60 seconds than ever before. But what caused him to think that he had stopped thinking was a simple thing in the mind. That the mind does not think in one channel. The mind thinks in several channels. Even if you are meditating. Supposing you are doing repetition of a mantra. Have you ever noticed that you are repeating those words in your mind and another voice is continuously saying, now it's time to stop, now you're going too fast, you're going too slow? That's also the mind. Not only that, there's a third commentator and a fourth and a fifth. There are so many channels. When we stop one channel, we think we have stopped thinking. The next channel keeps on commenting upon the stopping of the mind. That's what happens. The mind does not function in one particular channel. I had the honor to receive His Holiness Dalai Lama from Tibet when he was exiled from there in India, and I had to house him there in Dharamsala. I was the district commissioner there. And Dalai Lama was practicing meditation in those days. And he had 2 tutors with him. He was a very young man, very wonderful young man, spoke very little English and Hindi. He was having an interpreter to talk to me, but in a few days he learned enough to talk to me. And I had a Land Rover with me. He used to run into the mountains driving and discussing meditation. So I mentioned to him, he talked to me about the meditation he was doing 8 hours a day. And then he mentioned to me this very problem, that the mind has several levels, and if you are observant, if you are really observant, you can observe the different levels of the mind and you can hear them. And he said he had actually tried and he was able to find not one, not two, even he saw 8 commentators sitting one on top of the other in meditation. The same thing happens to all of us. We think we are doing meditation by way of repetition of a mantra, the repetition of a simran that we have learned. And while we are repeating those words, our mind is thinking of everything else at the same time. And we are being diverted, and though that routine is a parrot-like repetition. We are repeating with the tongue like a parrot, we repeat with the mind like a parrot, and allow another part of the mind to go all around the world thinking of other things, which is not good meditation at all, because we are not concentrating our attention on being at the spot where the thoughts are coming from. We miss the very essential point that the truth will come only if we are able to stay at the point from where attention is originating. And we scatter ourselves and think that we are doing good meditation by repetition of words, either in the head or with the tongue, and we think that we are doing meditation, whereas we are thinking of everything else at other levels of the mind. That's what happened to that man, a man who thought he knew how to stop the mind. Mind will not stop. So what do mystics mean? What do these spiritual leaders mean when they say, you must still your mind? What they meant by that was, ignore your mind. By stilling the mind is, don't pay attention to the mind. Again, it's the question of attention. If you find that thoughts are disturbing you in meditation, and you say we ignore it, and to tell the mind to ignore, you use the mind again. Because mind is our creator of language, even for speaking within ourselves. We instruct our mind to tell the mind, okay, you can do what you like, I am not paying attention. I am paying attention to something else. Then what happens? Then a very beautiful opportunity comes to us, also pre-installed in all of us. The beautiful opportunity of the highest quality of music that lies within all of us. A music that is not created by any drums or trumpets outside. A music that does not need any outside bells to be told. A music that arises automatically from consciousness itself. A music that is arising from totality of consciousness and descends to the level of our individuated consciousness, even in the physical body. And keeps our contact at all times with our own true homeland. That music, that sound that is coming in, is not created by us. It's not a physical sound at all. It's a sound that is generated when we put our attention there. Therefore, if the mind keeps on speaking, and you put your attention on the sound, you can ignore the mind, and that's called stilling the mind. That means not being disturbed by the mind. And therefore, the very best method of meditation is to use these mechanical methods of repetition of words and so on, and pulling yourself in as best as you can, till you can get the inner music inside. When the inner sound, the beautiful melody inside comes, attach yourself to the melody, and the melody will pull you to itself. It is so powerful. The sounds keep on varying, depending upon how much they have pulled you. But the initial sounds that have the quality of pulling you resemble the sounds of bells. They have a bell sound, they have a what they call the peal of a bell in it. So there's a dong, so that goes on like that. Therefore, it catches you and pulls your attention to the center, because that's coming from the center itself. You don't have to locate it. If you hear the sound of a bell that pulls you inside, you don't have to worry where the center is. The sound comes from the center, comes from where you are, comes from where your consciousness is operating. What a simple method. Pre-installed in all of us by the Creator. Pre-installed by us for our own escape from this trap. So therefore, the method, the modern method for our times, is to prepare ourselves for the sound inside. Prepare us. It's not even a sound. It looks like sound. It appears to be like sound to start with. Ultimately, it's just the resonance of consciousness that pulls us up. It is a description of consciousness in terms that we can use for our meditation. It's the reality. Nobody has been able to fully describe that sound as you ascend on it to a higher level. In the beginning, you can identify it like sound. But as you are pulled by that sound to a higher level of consciousness, and new areas come on uncovering themselves, new levels of consciousness keep uncovering themselves because of the sound, it changes. But ultimately, you can't call it a sound. You can't even call it frequency. You can't call it resonance. These are words which are all used up to the mental level. Beyond that, you can't even describe it. It's an audible thing. You can hear it. You can hear it with the inner ears, not with the outer ears. And you can hear it with your spirit, not with ears, even in the inner ears. You can hear it with your consciousness. It's arising from within consciousness. Yet, what should we call it then? We can't call it sound. In the Rig Veda, the first of the 4 Vedas, spiritual literature of India, it described as a nad. Nad of air means sound. That this nad can pull your attention. It also says that the nad is the beginning of creation, that the nad is the ultimate creator. In the Bible, in John's Gospel, the opening verses are, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. What else can you say? For want of any word, they are using the word word, because it's audible. They're calling it the music of the spheres. They've called it by all other kind of terminology acceptable to us at a physical level. But there's no real description of it. But at least we know that to start with, it sounds like a sound, which is good enough. Therefore, when the bell sound comes and has a pull in it, that means it sweeps you off your feet, and you feel there's no longer that you don't have to do anything. See, I was sometimes using the example of these cars, auto cars, that there are some cars rear-wheel drive and some cars are forward-wheel drives. The rear-wheel cars push the car forward, and the front-wheel cars, they pull the car from the front. There's a difference in the two. I know in snow, the front-wheel cars are better in bad weather, and the rear-wheel cars, they cannot control the direction, and if they start slipping on black ice, and by car one slip to the rear-wheel drive, you can't control it, because the rear-wheel drives are pushing it. Doing meditation without effort, by repetition of words and so on, is rear-wheel drive. We are trying to push ourselves to something. Listening to the sound, which has a pull in itself, is front wheel. It pulls us, and we do nothing. Therefore, the options are that as soon as you can get the pull of the sound inside, forget every other method, and it will take you all the way back to your destination, stage by stage. This particular yoga, union of this individuated soul with its totality, has been called Surt Shab Yoga. That means, Surt means attention, Shabd means the sound, Yoga means union. Union with your own reality, with your own totality, by the use of putting your attention on the sound. That's the meaning of that. That has been called the royal road of meditation in the present times. Great Master sometimes referred to it, El Camino Real. That means the royal road. That means it is the right way in this time, because at this time the distractions are more than ever before. In good old days, in the golden age, probably you could do other kinds of meditation and succeed, because the distractions were not so many. The distractions are at the maximum in the Iron Age, in Kali Yuga today, and therefore this royal road is the best for us. I am going to use this time with you in the next couple of days to practice how to identify who you are by putting your attention on yourself through imagination, not trying to focus, to correct anything that you have been doing in the past, so that you make success of meditation. What good is it to say, I am on the spiritual path for 40 years and I see nothing? I have been a great believer in the spiritual path, I have great faith, but I am still entangled in my family problems. I have been in meditation for 40 years and I still get very angry when somebody provokes me. What good are these statements? That means nothing happened. That means it was all misguided meditation. If you are really being pulled to your reality, it is automatic that you will not get angry. It's automatic that you will put high priorities on things that need priority. It's automatic that your problems will be taken care of by themselves. It's automatic you will realize that they are all pre-written and will be taken care of. It's automatic your attitude will change to everything. If none of these things have happened, what kind of meditation have you been doing? What kind of faith have we built up? And what kind of faith is that? We say we have great faith in the Lord, we have great faith in the Master. Everything is going wonderful. We came and had to park our car and there was no space. Suddenly car pulled out. I said, thank you, Master, you provided a parking space. But then when we couldn't find anything, had an accident, where were you, Master, at that time? We lost our faith. If faith is so shaky that it is only surviving with good fortune and shakes when bad fortune comes, what kind of faith is that? What discovery have we made? Therefore, when we have true meditation and true ascent in our level of consciousness, these things disappear and an unshakable faith comes, no matter what happens. It's all a predestined package of events to happen. That doesn't affect you at all. You're above them. I spoke to you about Julian Johnson earlier. Dr. Johnson told me, he said, when I came first to the great master, I used to think it's great to meet a man who has so much power. And I used to ask him, please bless my wife, bless my child, bless my friends in America, bless those people. He gave many examples of how he used to ask him for worldly blessings. He said, it took me some time to discover that I am asking for rotten things. I am asking for temporary things here, and I know these things are all going away. I know none of these relationships are going to be there. What am I asking my master for? I should be asking for some real stuff. And I realized, he told me, that he realized that our life's destiny of ups and downs is just a platter of good opportunity given to us in order to take advantage of the power of seeking, to go out of the system. Why are we trying to propagate more in the system? By asking for things about the system here. Julian Johnson saw that our destiny of life, with all its ups and downs, is a very minor thing to worry about. They have to come and go as they come and go. To put all your attention on modifying that is like going into a dream state and saying, I want to buy a house in my dream and make it, furnish it very well. And then we wake up and say, let's go back to the dream to complete the furnishing. Well, you know it's a dream. With higher consciousness, you discover that the whole thing is nothing but a series of dreams. And therefore, the real thing is somewhere else. So why are we wasting so much time in getting advantage of a master for things which don't really matter? Indeed, he told me, I am very happy that there are ups and downs in my life. And that's the only way I could have been a human being. And I could get the opportunity to meet the great master. If all my destiny was very great, all good things were there, I'd be sitting up in heaven, waiting to die again in heaven and come back. If all the deeds I did were bad and I would be in hell, I'd be just waiting, when will this end, the torment end? I'd never meet a master. I am happy I have a combination of both. And therefore I am able to meet a great master. Julian Johnson's words. So we sometimes have a wrong priority of what is more important for us. And we go after small little things of this world, our relationships, our little possessions that we have here, how to improve the material condition here, how to improve the condition of our body here, not caring at all for something that will last forever. And we are caring for things that will last for very little time. When a person dies, he doesn't carry anything with him. And yet, how much time and attention we give to things that will not go with us. And how little a time we give to things that will be with us forever, for eternity. Our priorities are wrong. If we correct our priorities and say that we want to concentrate on what will be with us forever, and we want to concentrate on our relationship with the soul and its total soul, or creator, or our own totality. Put priority number one. Let's do everything for that. And everything else we'll take care of after that is done. You know what will happen? And I'm telling you not only from my experience, from experience of several people who have tried this experiment of putting their priority right, all the other things take care of themselves without your need to put any attention. They are taken care of better than you would be able to take care of with your attention. So that is why are we making a mistake of putting our attention on things that we cannot even change many of these. We try hard to change them, they don't. We think there's a great thing because of our loneliness, because of the desire of the soul for fulfillment, because of the desire to expand to know what its total is and feels it is separated. Just for that longing of the soul, we try to make relationships in this external world. We think we'll find our soul mates right here somewhere. And we find soul mates here. They look like wonderful soul mates. On day 1, day 2, they are wonderful soul mates till we marry them. Then something strange happens. Then something suddenly comes up which we never saw, even if we dated for years. We date somebody for years, and then we get married, and then we say, now what's gone wrong? The whole attitude of the two people changes. I am not talking from a theoretical point. I have met hundreds of couples come to me that we have found our soulmate, and come 6 months later, we are divorcing. Why? We were never made for each other. When did you find it out? From day 1. I said, that was the day you told me that you were soulmates. What kind of relationships are these? And how much attention? The most wonderful thing we have, which is our attention, how much attention we devote to these things. And we are putting all the attention on things that really don't matter in the long run. They may matter for a short while. Take care of them like you would take care of a temporary thing. You take a flight in a plane, long flight to India, you spend 16 hours on the plane, you say, I want to make myself comfortable, I'll take some nice food. But you don't settle in and say, this is going to be my home. You know the flight will end and you will go. And it's only temporary comfort. This life is like a temporary place where we can make ourselves temporarily comfortable. It does not mean that we make plans forever sitting here, because nobody lives forever. We have to leave all these things behind us. There's a story told of Alexander the Great. He came through Greece and he came to India and he acquired a lot of wealth. He destroyed many temples, gathered the gold and diamond that was stored there. He killed so many people. He made so many women widows, so many kids orphans. And all that just for the sake of those worldly possessions which he carried on his camels and his horses and took them back. When he was on his way back, he fell sick. And the physicians accompanying him of those days told him that he cannot survive anymore. He was at his last moment. He said, I cannot die because the gypsy told me that unless the sky turns into gold and the earth turns into silver, I will not die. And since that will never happen, I am immortal. I will never die. When he was so sick, there was no resting place on the way. They took him off from his horse and laid down his armor, which was made of silver, and laid down on the ground. And he had a canopy, an umbrella made of gold. And they lay him down and put that to protect him from the sun. When he saw the silver underneath and the gold above, he knew he was going to die. That the gypsies were right. He then ordered that all the time I have gone and killed so many people, maimed so many people, made kids into orphans, women into widows, just for the sake of collecting this wealth that is lying on these horses and camels, Please find out somebody who can take all the wealth and give me a few hours more of life so I can reach Alexandria. I can reach my home. They said, Doc, sorry, nobody can help you at this time. Not all the wealth can help you. He says, this wealth can't even give me a few moments more to live. What did I do? Then he ordered that when he is buried, when he's put in his grave, he should be put in a casket in which there should be, his hand should be left outside. So the whole world should know even Alexander the Great went to his death with his hands empty. He never carried anything with him. And that's how he was actually buried. In his casket, they kept his hand out so people could see according to his instructions. The point is that we realize so late that nothing is going to go with us. People make relationships and make plans, and then death suddenly overtakes them. And they say, oh, I couldn't do this, I couldn't do this. And then they die. And many times, because of their attachments, they are in a disembodied state. Nobody can see them. They can see and try to talk, try to communicate. Nobody can hear them. They get so frustrated that we are still alive. We are not dead. And everybody is now thinking we are dead. And look at my kids, for whom I did so much. They're running after my property. They're distributing it now. Look at what these people are doing to what my things, valuable things. Oh, he's thrown away my things, and I can't do anything. What kind of life that ghostly life is, to be running around like a ghost with all these kind of experiences, just because we didn't realize while we were alive in the physical body, that the body is going to be very temporary. You cannot hold on to it. Nobody has held on to it. No master has held on to it. No prophet has held on to it. Nobody ever has held on to a physical body. Yet we are bothering only about the relationship of the physical body. Yet there is so much in us which is permanent, immortal. Why don't we talk of those relationships? Why don't we build those relationships which will go on forever? Why don't we build those relationships and verify them while we are still here? Now that's where the perfect living masters come in and say, it's time for you in the physical body. While you are still in the physical body and you have your possibility of building a good relationship, build with somebody who will go with you even after you die. And not only on a belief system, verify it while you are still here, that you have made a relationship with somebody, that when you die, you will be in a form which will be the same form your friend will have, and you will have companionship forever. And that experience comes by having a relationship with a perfect living master. He is able to show you what you will be like when you die, where you will go when you die, where he will be when he dies, and that your real form is not this, that you have a much longer life, another form, so has he, and you'll be friends forever for a much longer time, for thousands of years, not for a short span of time in the physical body. So if we are right in our priorities, and we create the right relationships while we are still here and have the capacity to do it, then we are taking good care of our future. But to try to make future based upon things that are not going to last at all is a big mistake. We all make that mistake. We try to make plans. I've seen people making plans, telling me in 10 years I will do this, in 20 years I'll do this, and next year they are dead. Where are those 10 years and 20 years plans gone? I see so many people, so many colleagues of mine have gone away after all the plans they were making, leaving everything behind. And a person who said, I love you so much, is suddenly frightened of the body, dead body that's lying. And then asks me, is that ghost still around me? I'm frightened of it. I said, you love that person. Why don't you love the ghost of that person now? No, I'm scared of the ghost. But it's the same person. What kind of relationships are these? I mean, it's amazing how we have not been able to see some simple, obvious truth. The obvious truth is, what relationships we create with this physical body are temporary. No matter what relationship it is. But the relationship we create with our souls, the relationship that we create with our higher selves are permanent. And those will last forever. And the possibility of getting those relationships is now, while we are still here. It's only possible when we are human beings in this form, in a wakeful state. So it's a great window of opportunity that we have. I would like to pause at this time and allow you to join me in some meditation. Would you be interested? How many of you like to have a little meditation? Thank you. During these couple of days, we'll have short sessions of meditation. These sessions are designed to help us understand the correct mode of meditation. Because even after initiation by perfect living masters, I notice that many people have gone for years not understanding fully how they were supposed to meditate. And therefore, people who are meditated, how many of you are already initiated? Wow. How many of you feel that you have had successful meditation? How many of you think we need to improve our meditation? Thank you. Thank you, I'm on the right track. First step, before you meditate, before you repeat any mantra, before you listen to anything, before you visualize a master or God or a vision at all, before you do anything, you must learn how to imagine you are behind the eyes. If that step is not taken, the rest will be futile. If that step is correctly taken, all your meditation will begin to work. So that's a very important step. Therefore, that's the first step we'll do now. That means we will assume that our body is our house in which we live. Otherwise, we keep on thinking of the body as ourself all the time. It doesn't work. So therefore, you have to change that concept and think that the body is merely a housing for us in which we live. It has several levels. The levels, we talk of levels because it is divided by energy centers into different parts. And the energy centers almost act like levels of a house. Starting from the bottom, at the butt end is the lowest, is the ground floor, the basement. Then we come to the reproductive organs, which is the next level. Then the digestive organs at the belly button, which is the next, and the heart is the next level. Then the throat is the next level, and the eyes are the sixth level of this house. We are in a wakeful state already at the sixth floor. Don't have to go down. Of course, there are steps that you can go down to other levels by your attention. There is also a fast speed elevator, high speed elevator, and the back through the spine. You can drag yourself down there, come up by that or come up by the steps. It's a house like that, very well made. But since you are already at the sixth floor in a wakeful state, in a sleep state you go down. When you're dreaming, you're not here. Your eyes also lower, the inner eyes lower themselves to the throat level. If you are sleeping and you wanted to touch your eyes, if somebody said, touch your eyes, you can hear that person, you want to touch your eyes, you will touch your throat and think you're touching your eyes in the dream state. So this notional location of where you are keeps on shifting. But in the wakeful state, you are already at the eye level. And therefore, when you close your eyes in the body, you are at the sixth level of a house. And there is a floor behind the eyes. The floor can be hard or soft. I would recommend make a hard floor so you don't sink. Why is that? Because the tendency to go to sleep is very strong in these sessions of meditation. I can tell you. I remember once I was leading in a nearby town, in Bruce, a meditation session, and some of you were there at that time, and I was telling you to go and concentrate there. And after a time, I noticed I was myself snoring. I opened my eyes, I saw everybody looking wildly at me. I said, this is the natural demonstration of how quickly we tend to sleep. Therefore, the tendency of the attention to sink lower becomes stronger in meditation. In fact, great masters sometimes advise people who suffered from insomnia, who could not sleep at night, try meditation. So therefore, the reason why I'm saying the 6th floor of this house, make a strong concrete floor and jump on it and see it's hard enough, prevent you from sleeping. The softer the floor, the more likely to sink your attention down. It's just an imaginary act that holds your attention behind the eyes. So once you make that, then you can make a comfortable place to sit on that floor. Have a comfortable chair, cushion, floor mat, whatever you like. Instead of making these things outside, we should make it inside. People have taken me to their homes and shown me the lovely chairs on which they meditate. And I sometimes feel like telling them, sometimes I have to keep my mouth shut out of courtesy, that you concentrate in your meditation on the chair, not on your attention and yourself. If you have a wonderful chair to meditate on, what will you be thinking of when you meditate? What a great chair to meditate on. Where is the attention going? The chair. If you have a special corner set up in your room for meditation, or have a special room in your house, this is my meditation room. I come and meditate here. Such a beautiful ambience here, such a beautiful vibration here. And I said, I'll sit down and see. I am thinking of nothing but the beautiful room there. Attention is being scattered right on the room which has been designed specially for that. All these things are distractions. Which is the room where you should be meditating in your head? Which is the chair you should be sitting on? The chair on the hard floor behind the eyes. Step 1. So step 1 is to make the chamber which is created by your closing your eyes in your head as the room on the 6th floor of the building on which you will meditate. First step. Second, decorate it and make it beautiful enough to be attractive so you like to come there again and again. You can put the best chair, cost nothing. It's free today because you're using it imagination. Put the best chairs, your mat, any type of meditation you've been doing with your physical body outside, put it now on the astral body, on the self. The self means that it is you who are in the 6th floor, sitting there. You do not have to see yourself, because even if you're sitting on this chair, you can't see yourself. You can only feel you are there. Nobody can see oneself. Nobody can see one's eyes. You only see a reflection in a mirror. You can't see your eyes, even physical eyes. How can you see a body of yours sitting there? Therefore, you don't see anything. You feel you are there. You feel you are in the center of the head, and you are doing nothing but examining. Are there walls around? Is there a window around? Can I decorate it? Should I drape it? Should I put a rug, carpet under my chair? Things like that. Concentrating your attention only on the inside environment in your head. That's step 1. Shall we do it? Okay, then first of all, make your body in such a position that you don't shake it. Houses don't shake. And if you shake them too much, they'll crack. Therefore, sit in a position. Now that's called the yogic position. Yogis have been always advising several kinds of asanas, and people have totally mistaken them. They think the asanas create spirituality. Body contortions don't create spirituality. Why do the yogis do the body? There are 84 types of asanas they have. And they put their body in different shape, like animals or like dead bodies or something. And they do that so that in a little space, sometimes a little space of a little cave, they can exercise their body in every muscle through those exercises. It's as simple as that. It does not mean that's a spiritual exercise. It's a physical exercise. But it helps them to keep the body in good shape so that they can meditate better. That's the whole purpose of those yogic exercises. And we are trying to twist them around and think that that's going to give us some spirituality. It doesn't. But once you are in a good shape, then the body should be placed in such a situation that it is not too relaxed to go to sleep and not too uptight that your attention is all on the aching of the limbs. So So that's why it should be such a natural state. You are all used to sitting on chairs. It's very good. Some can sit on the floor. Your body should be such that it does not draw unnecessary attention to any part that is aching or something, and does not draw something that you artificially put yourself in. It should natural. Nor should you slump and relax so much that the tendency to sleep is more. Be upright and think it's a house and you are on the 6th floor and sitting in the middle. Now close your eyes and please begin. Don't look at anything. What comes in front, let it come and go, like a television screen. Stay in the center of your head, behind the eyes. No higher, no lower. No strain on the head. It's not a physical exercise, imaginary. Just imagine. Don't put any strain on the eyes or the head. Think of nothing but being inside the head. Don't think of anything outside. Look around inside the space around you in the head. Stay awake, stay in the center. Don't move either side. Don't follow anything. No other thought except being in the center. Keep your eyes closed till I count 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes and welcome back. Welcome back. How many of you were successfully able to find the location where you have to do your meditation? How many of you have difficulty about it? How many of you had thoughts driving you away from that place? How many of you could locate yourself a little while but then moved away? These are common things that happen. That's why I ask these questions. They happen to all of us. But that shows we need practice. We need practice even in a simple act of being able to imagine we are inside our head. Looks very simple. But there are distractions that keep us moving from there. There are thoughts that come in that drive us out. There is sometimes a problem figuring out that we are here or are we here? And is the whole body moving up there? It's a lot of practice is needed just to imagine this is a house. This is not yourself. We've always thought the body is ourself. Therefore, it's very difficult to begin with, to think that this is not yourself, that yourself is something else sitting there. But with practice, you will be able to see how many of you had an unusual experience while trying to sit there. Very good. If you are able to establish yourself merely doing nothing, no meditation, no mantra, no repetition, no listening of the sound, just being there for about 15 minutes, you'll have extraordinary experiences. It's just the actual question of getting close to the 10th door, not even opening it, that begins to give new experiences. The 10th door, once it opens a new world for you. And it's right there where we're talking about. The 10th door that opens inward. The 9 doors open outside. Our thoughts are all being driven out by the 9 doors. The 10th door opens inside, and right where we were trying to practice. We will do more practices later this afternoon. Thank you very much.